overarching umbrella that includes a number of different aspects. Adventure therapy, I think, is it's pretty broad in its definition, and as a field has been kind of moving towards standardization and building out certification and accreditation bodies.
Many people think of adventure therapy as sort of an expeditionary type of therapy where you have to go off into the wilderness for, X many days, or sail around Cape Horn or something like that. Handout of the many terms: wilderness therapy, adventure-based counseling, and it just goes on and on. Adventure therapy is not a type of therapy. Adventure therapy is a modality of service delivery, and I think that's confusing to the general public. If you're interested in, talking with parents who have a child that they might think might benefit, what is adventure therapy? It's a way of delivering a service.
So, wilderness therapy falls under that umbrella and typically takes place in a backcountry setting. So there are a variety of programs. Some are explicitly backcountry, so the youth come in and then they go out almost immediately, and they're out on an expedition for extended periods, and often rotating through clinical staff. And there's also kind of hybrid programs where they focus on supporting the student and the youth in their educational curriculum, as well as employing the backcountry as basically another metaphor for them to learn about themselves. So, as well as various other front country experiences. Primarily, the populations that are most affiliated with AT settings are typically youth, adolescents, but it's also not uncommon to see work being done with trauma populations, both male and female, as well as returning veterans. Yeah, I think it certainly does have a different effect. I don't know that it's better necessarily, in part because some clients respond really well to individual treatment or group psychotherapy in an office setting. But typically, youth who find their way or adolescents who find their way to adventure therapy programs generally have tried some of those other venues, and they haven't found as much success perhaps. So I think one of the things that makes adventure therapy and wilderness therapy so effective is the fact that you're immersed in that natural world. And so you have a lot of opportunity to discover aspects of yourself that previously you hadn't really been able to meet. Kurt Hahn talks about basically how our youth today suffer from like a resiliency deficit, in part because they lack a number of challenge experiences, and so they never have the opportunity to assert themselves and push themselves in ways that open up new understandings of who they are and what they can overcome. Just the restorative effects of nature, being out and engaged with the kind of more than human world. You are in relation to not only everyone within your group, but everything around you, and you have something to learn from each one of those, both the members of your group, yourself, your leaders, but also the natural world. Typically, at least for accredited programs, your adolescents, your youth and children are safer in these programs than they are back at home, engaging in day-to-day activities. I think that's one of the good aspects that we employ, is the use of risk, both perceived and real, in the development of youth, and I think to address that challenge deficit in a huge way. So I think that's something that often, speaking with parents and acknowledging, yes, there are risks involved, but you may not consider many of the other risks that your youth are involved in on a daily basis, and actually our risks are very well managed. We have trained staff and certified medical professionals who accompany your youth everywhere they go. So I think that's something that is a real positive of the field. And so often when we mention adventure therapy, what we envision, or at least I envision, is accredited, licensed mental health professionals with adequately trained staff who progress through a kind of adaptable treatment plan that's geared towards that particular individual. there's an aspect in adventure therapy that's relatively unacknowledged, and that's just the power of engagement with nature and wilderness. I think at a level, most adventure therapists believe that that's one of the primary contributors. So what enables people to change and grow. Family systems work is positive and needed to really not only acknowledge the change and development that's occurred for the adolescent, but also to engage and challenge some of those larger systems dynamics that are kind of ongoing in that life. So whether or not, even if the family is generally pretty supportive and it's a healthy environment, it can still be really useful to have direct family involvement. This is to support them in their transition back home, even if it's to just observe that change occurring. The crises that adolescents face of who they are versus all the various roles that they try on throughout their time as an adolescent. There's a movement afoot now towards, I see greater research being done, outdoor behavioral health care. The work that they do I think is legitimizing the field. So in a way, we're moving closer and closer to, gaining additional funding, support. We're building up the body of research around the field to support what we do.